Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of our Cybersecurity Executive Brief. I am Corey Wolf, Director of Offensive Security at Risk 360, and today is Wednesday, July 24th, which means it was a long weekend for all of our friends in the IT area dealing with CrowdStrike. We're going to hop into it a little bit. CrowdStrike did release some updates. They did release a technical write-up on the incident, how it occurred, all of that kind of good stuff. So we will jump into that. But first, this also means that we are 2 weeks away from Black Hat and DEF CON. If you're going to be at Black Hat or DEF CON, me, along with the entire OST team, will be on site in Las Vegas. One of our senior consultants, Andrew Johnson, will be speaking at Red Team Village on Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Make sure to check out the Red Team Village schedule at redteamvillage.io to get more information on that. But also, if you're going to be there for Black Hat or DEF CON, please reach out. I would love the opportunity to say hello, come and talk to you about what's going on at the conference, seeing how everything's going, but would love the opportunity to say hello. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn or email corey.wolf@risk360.com. Would love the opportunity to see you there. With that, let's jump into it. CrowdStrike, we all know what happened. We all know that everyone was dealing with it. Doing lots of updates. We've had some clients that did a very good job of turning it around. Of course, I can't name them for obvious reasons. I wish I could right now, but there's one particular client I have in mind who just did a fantastic job of turning it around. They've run through it in tabletops and through their business impact analysis and their business continuity and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely fantastic job. Wish I could say their name. Maybe one day, but if they're listening, I think they know who I'm talking about. But CrowdStrike did put out a technical write-up here where they're talking through what happened, and they go through. So as an offensive security person, I love this because they're talking specifically about how they deploy updates, how they deploy sensors, their testing process, everything that goes on, right? The long and short of it is that they pushed out a bad update. I think most of us know that. But the good thing about this write-up is, which was just actually this morning, I believe, right? Can't tell you what time this is in East Coast time, but they just released this. And the good thing about it is that as an offensive security person, I can understand a little bit better about what they do and how they push out updates. But the primary part of this write-up is them talking through how they do updates. The long and short of it, they have typical sensor updates, and in this case, it was sensors 7.11 and above Windows machines that were affected by this particular update. But they have sensor updates, which they refer to as, here we go, sensor content. So if we see here, it is always part of a sensor release and not dynamically updated from the cloud. So whenever they update a sensor, they update, which I guess you could kind of think of as their baseline detections. They refer to as sensor content. They update that when the sensor goes out. So kind of the static stuff. It goes when there's a new sensor. Then they have things called rapid response content. And these are the dynamic updates, right? They refer to them as rapid response content. They call them template instances, which are instantiations of a given template type, right? Each template instance maps to specific behaviors. Template instances have a set of fields that can be configured to match the desired behavior. So where's the part where they talk about rapid response content provides visibility and detections on the sensor without requiring sensor code changes. So they're dynamic update files, basically. And CrowdStrike pushes these out. So of course, everyone, I think, kind of knows it was a bad update to their sensor, which caused a blue screen death. So CrowdStrike goes into depth here about what they do for testing. So this is a good read. I'm not going to go through their specific testing process. Basically, they're saying that they do have a testing process, and what happened with this release was that there was a bug in their testing and deployment system which allowed a bad rapid response content update, right? So they're saying, hey, we test these things before they go out. In this particular case, there was a bug in our testing and deployment system that allowed a bad update file, what they refer to as channel files, a bad update file to get pushed to the sensor. Of course, that bad update file is the perpetrator of all of this, right? So they call that out and they talk through it. I'll post a link to this. It's a good read. You should check it out. The reason that these machines are crashing is, so these are driver files, right? I'm sorry, they're firmware drivers, right? So basically, CrowdStrike is all the way down in the kernel. So you can get super technical. There's lots of different rings, but you could think of ring 0 as kernel mode. Depending on who you ask, there's different rings in between, but there's kernel mode basically, and then there's user mode. Kernel mode, of course, is where drivers live. It's where firmware and that kind of stuff lives. It's the level that absolutely has to talk to the hardware. And CrowdStrike has one of these files, so I guess you can understand why they want to be able to interpret all the kind of different stuff that they're seeing. But they have a kernel driver that gets installed. There's lots of different kernel drivers, but in this particular case, they use what's called a boot start driver. I think I got that wrong. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically the type of driver that is required in order for the operating system to boot. Not all drivers are like that, but of course, CrowdStrike wants to make sure that they're loaded every time the device starts up. So they have a boot driver rather that is required in order for Windows to boot. So a channel update file came down, broke their driver. Windows could not boot because it's a required driver for Windows to start, which is why the remediation was to boot into safe mode, which loads minimal amount of drivers, go in and delete that bad channel file, which was causing the driver to not start on boot. They include a rollout and a timeline of everything that went on. Of course, they don't. The channel file in question is channel file 291. So of course, the remediation wants to start in safe mode, browse to where those channel files are located, and delete anything related to channel file 291. So that's it. In this technical write-up, they talk through their deployment process. They talk through their testing process, and they say basically it was a bug in our deployment and testing process that allowed us to push a bad channel file to the driver, and the driver is required in order to start, and so of course the machine couldn't start. It's a good write-up, again, as an offensive security person, to learn as much as I can about CrowdStrike and just understand how they operate. I want to be able to bypass them, as of course as an offensive security person. But of course, cybercriminals want to take advantage of this as well. They have started to do so. I mean, they hopped on it pretty quick. Not started. They did it the minute that they could. They were registering all kinds of fake domains related to CrowdStrike. In one particular instance that CyberScoop calls out, where do we go here? Additionally, a phishing email with a PDF purporting to explain how to remediate last week's Falcon issue delivered a zip file laced with wiper malware. So Any.run, if you're not familiar with Any.run, Any.run is a sandbox, an online sandbox environment. So if you have a piece of malware or a suspicious link, you can go into Any.run, run it through the sandbox, and kind of see what it's looking at, what websites is it reaching out to, what files is it writing, all that kind of stuff. But Any.run did a very good technical analysis of this, which again, I'll link to this as well. Don't necessarily want to jump into this right now. They did a very good job of writing up a technical analysis of how threat actors are taking advantage of this. But they are absolutely 100% taking advantage of it. In this particular case, phishing emails with wiper malware. The PDF was named something related to how to remediate the Falcon issue. And the thought that comes to mind is, so if you think about it as an employee, if your work machine is down, right, and you have email, where is this PDF actually executing? So it was laced with wiper malware, I'm curious if it was a personal device, really, is what I'm thinking about. I wonder, because if you think about all these people that couldn't get on their work machines, they're working through their mobile device. I'm really curious to see what happened there. But at the end of the day, threat actors are taking advantage of this. Jose Hernandez actually put out a pretty good list of different domains that are being used in threat actor campaigns. You can see he took the top 25, ran against Splunk Attack Analyzer. Most of them look pretty funky according to him, but apparently at least 2,000 domains registered in the last 7 days related to this CrowdStrike incident. So threat actors, they move quickly. They did it with COVID. They're doing it with this. Any opportunity that they find to attack, they will take that opportunity and they will immediately jump on any possible incident or any possible attack vector that they can to gain privilege and execute what they want to execute. So CrowdStrike situation apparently is mostly cleaned up. I hear Delta is still working through it. Some people are not happy with them, but there are some companies that have done lots of work as far as business continuity goes and have really attacked this and done very well and gotten it done and remediated in just a few days. I know of some organizations that had a couple thousand endpoints and they got it done in 2 or 3 days, right? Because they practiced for it. They knew they knew that this might happen at some point, and they need to have processes in place to remediate it, and they knocked it out. So continues to go on. We'll see what happens in the coming days, but that's it. CrowdStrike pushed out a bad update. There was a bug in their deployment and testing system, which led to that bad update crashing Windows systems. Threat actors immediately jumped on it and started to register domains and do all kinds of bad things. So that's the big news this past week. One other thing that might have flown under your radar is, if you remember, the SEC filed suit against Solarwinds for that 2020 now? Yep, the 2020 Sunburst supply chain attack. Lots of the charges brought by the SEC against SolarWinds. I think this is a civil suit, so I don't know if Tim Brown is included in this. I think this is just against SolarWinds. But the judge did drop many of these charges against SolarWinds. The primary one, which is the one that everyone kind of read about when this first came out, was basically the SEC's case was, hey, SolarWinds says on their trust center that they take every logical step and every possible step, I should say, to protect its customer systems, etc. Of course, many companies say that, but the SEC's primary point here was that they made this statement and that they did not follow through on that internally. And so that's where the majority of their case is coming from. That particular point is still sticking and is able to move forward through the court case. However, the judge has dismissed many of the other charges. So it sounds good, especially if you're a CISO, but at the end of the day, the SEC's primary complaint, or argument rather, the SEC's primary argument is going to continue to move forward through the court case. So want to make sure we brought that up. So yeah, CrowdStrike continues to do more and more. Threat actors continue to jump on it. SEC dismisses some charges. Hopefully that works out for SolarWinds and particularly their CISO, well, prior CISO. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. Again, if you're going to be at DEF CON or Black Hat in 2 weeks, please make sure to reach out to me via LinkedIn, email, X, Twitter, wherever you can find me. Please reach out. Would love the opportunity to say hello. I hope you have a great rest of your week, an excellent weekend, and we'll see you here again next Wednesday. Speak soon. Thanks for watching. For more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and visit us at risk360.com to learn how we can help your business succeed.